Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another live stream. It is 3 p.m. here in Chicago, Illinois, February 25th, 2021. I have to look at the date for a second. I just wasn't sure. It didn't look right. I don't know. Like the numbers were all jumbled around. But it is February 25th, 2021, and it is a Thursday, which means it's happy hour. Today, I've got some new Nuun Recover. It's not a brand new product. It's been out for a little while. I think a lot of you guys are taking this stuff already, but I've been trying the Nuun Recover, their post-sweat drink. They call it a hydrating BCAA branch chain amino acid drink mix. And I've been really loving, I had the lemon flavor, I think, before. And I went through it super fast because I was taking one, like basically taking a scoopful of it every day. And I just went through it quick. So I thought I'd buy another one. Got a new flavor. Haven't tried this one before. And I thought I'd try it today on the live stream. I got some water set up for it. I don't drink my drink mixes out of this, but I thought this would be a nice clear vessel so you guys could see how it does. How are you guys doing today? It is a nice day here in Chicago. The trail was very icy though, because everything's melting. And then overnight, all that melt becomes ice. And while the Park District has been doing a really great job keeping things salted, there's just so much ice in certain spots. So for the most part, I was able to get in a really good workout today. That's what tomorrow's video will be about. But there were some super sketchy spots. And yeah, I ended up not tweaking, but like my hamstring felt like a little grumpy about it at the end of my last rep for today. I was like, I didn't like that ice. We didn't like that. It was making us do things we don't normally do. So there's that. But I think I'm fine. I've been just doing a little bit of extra stretching today and making sure I'm staying hydrated. So that's what I've been up to. How did your guys' runs go today? Everyone on the podcast version, welcome. Hope you guys are having your good run right now. And everyone watching those on YouTube after the fact, let me know how your guys' run went too. I'd love to hear about it. All right. Let's see. Ines coming in with some mending. I think that's what it's called there in the UK when you fix stuff. It's mending. At least if my years of watching Top Gear are any indication. But and I mean that might be different in Scotland. But Ines says, "Hi Kafuzi and everyone. Just fixed my car bonnet alarm with a spray of WD-40. Really? That did it? That's weird. But I'm glad it's fixed." Glass MW says, "Yo, going great. 70 degrees and sunny in Alabama. That sounds just absolutely delightful." Ted and Ruth says, "Recovery. Yeah, that's what it's about today." And Monroe Marlat says, "Snagged a segment record on Strava today. Good work." Let's get a cowbell going for that one. I don't think that I have any Strava segments. So I'm quite envious, Monroe. Great work. Sean Gresham said it's 45 in Ohio, perfect for running. Sounds great. And Super Smoltz, what's going on? Says the sunlight is so nice. I wish I could go running right now. Well, if you can't go running, at least you're with other runners. So we're at least, maybe that's the second best. Hopefully, maybe. I don't know. Nicholas Anderson says, "Hi, Kafuzi. How do you break in each new shoe? Are you just going straight at it with a long workout? If that's what the plan says, or are you giving all the shoes some easy miles to start out with?" I kind of go out with, I don't really plan on a break-in. My theory, my kind of general feeling towards breaking in a shoe is we're not running in leather shoes anymore. This isn't where it's not kangaroo hides. It's not like cow leather. It's not like a baseball mitt that needs to be broken in, right? As far as the uppers go. And as far as the midsoles go, we're dealing with pretty sophisticated, like usually petroleum based, but pretty sophisticated foams that are very well chemically engineered, in my opinion. So it shouldn't need a break-in. I should be able to run in something right out of the box. The only things that I kind of forgive sometimes are like some of the edges. Like maybe there's a part at the ankle that's kind of rubbing my Achilles a little bit. Maybe the arch is poking up in my foot just a little. There's things like that like kind of like even themselves out over time. But for the most part, I don't plan on much break-in. I will, for a pair of racing shoes, before I race in them, I'll usually at least take them out for the shakeout run just to kind of even out some of those edges or smooth out some of those edges. But for the most part, like if it's a workout shoe, I'll plan on taking it for a workout. If it's a long run shoe, I'll take it right out of the box for a long run. So like I do kind of match it up for, a good test for the intended purpose of the shoe. But other than that, I don't really plan on that much break-in. All right. JC says, "Hey folks, trouble getting on YouTube just now. Not sure why." Whoa. hopefully, well, I'm glad you're here. So it looks like you made it through. Ben Browning said, tried on the Nike Invincible in white. Oh, so broad. I don't think I've seen a Nike Invincible in white. Wow. That looks, I'm not even sure what that even looks like. Interesting. Julio Rivera says, just took my motorcycle out of the garage, 39 in Chicago. Yeah. I haven't seen any bikes yet, but, I live right off of Sheridan Road here. So I generally hear a lot of the motorcycles when it's nice weather out. I can either hear them going up and down Sheridan, or I can hear them if I'm up on the roof. I can hear them really cranking it on Lakeshore Drive. And I haven't heard any of that yet, but I'm sure this weekend I'm definitely going to hear it. Oh, I remember this. I remember this time of year when I used to ride bikes too. Such a good time. I would usually try to ride a couple of times over the winter whenever like the weather wasn't too miserable, just to keep the battery alive. But yeah, when it like finally turns, such a great feeling on the motorcycle. Ben Browning says his Garmin, and because we've been talking about the Garmin's and the recovery time it tells you need. He says his Garmin says his Thursday 25K was unproductive. What's been funny is my Polar has been saying that my training for the last like 3 to 4 weeks now, going on my 4th week of like 8K training, has been just maintaining fitness. And they're like, if you keep this up, you're going to lose fitness. And I'm like getting nervous about it, but I'm like, I guess like I had higher mileage before, but I'm like, I'm working hard. I'm building a different kind of fitness. And I'm not sure the Polar like kind of like attuned to that. Like, I don't know, like how do the watches kind of like tell if you're training harder for a shorter distance, like how does it gauge that? It's interesting, but maybe it doesn't need to gauge it. Maybe it's just talking about kind of like how the Stride Foot Pot does. It's like the relative, like what is it? RSS, like the stress score, and maybe the Polar or the Garmin don't care, if you're working harder or not. It just cares about like your cardiac load. So maybe it is right if it was an easy 25. I don't know. That's, I think, something I need to look at a little bit further. Scott says, when do you think is the best time to do strides? At the beginning or end of a run? Lately, I've been doing towards the beginning because it's been cold out. And so I do it as a way to warm myself up. But I do think that the strides are better towards the end, but as long as you still have enough time for a cool down afterwards. So the idea would be to like just get really easy heart rate for your easy run. If you're doing strides within an easy run, get that like hour 15 minutes of easy running, and then do the strides right at the end. So that way it's not then like kind of like not corrupting, but then it's not like elevating your heart rate for the rest of your run. So that's kind of like the approach that I would take with that. All right, I'm going to start opening up this guy, brand new in the package. You know what I don't like? I don't like it when there isn't like a nice pull tab on some of these. See, like pull tabs on shoes, I can, take them or leave them. The double pull tabs on the Alpha Fly, which is what I ran in today, I definitely need those. But like on some shoes, I don't need it. But pull tabs on drink mix, why don't they have pull tabs? These are impossible to open. Fortunately, I did bring scissors, my kid's scissors, with me so I can open it up better. Let's get this open. And then you got to play that difficult game of like fish the scoop out. Okay. All right, so I got the scoop. And this Nuun recovery stuff, it has a strange smell to it. Something like something off about it. And I don't know. I've gotten used to it, and it has become almost like a signature smell. But like, yeah, I don't know. Just something that smells a little bit, not like soap, but something that smells like not like fruit. All right, so I got the powder. The powder itself was kind of like a light whitish pink color, and now in the water, it's really changing the color quickly. Now, the thing that I like about this powder is that like just a couple of shakes, and like usually it's pretty well dissolved. Or at least it was for the lemon stuff. That's about as much shaking as I would do in my normal. I usually use a Nalgene, a smaller Nalgene, a 16-ounce Nalgene. I just go like a couple of those and I'm ready to chug it. But this one, look, there's still a big chunk at the bottom. Look at that. Wait, there you go. That's a giant chunk of powder. So I'm going to have to give this, I don't know if maybe like the aerodynamic or like the fluid dynamics in this bottle aren't as good for a quick shake, but this seems to need a pretty good shake. I'll tell you what, yesterday I had some, I forget what they're called again. There's something vital proteins, something like my wife bought a protein mix that has collagen in it and has high hyaluronic acid. That takes forever to mix. I was just shaking that for like minutes and minutes. And like, if you don't shake it well enough, you get these like floating, like wafting, like it's like seaweed, pieces of seaweed floating in the drink. And I know that it's just pure collagen. So it just feels like you're drinking something and like a pig's foot just rubbed against your nose, or in my case, mustache. That was really gross. I'm not a big fan of collagen right now, I gotta tell you. It's kind of nasty, but yeah. All right, so it still needs a little bit of shaking up, and it's not doing very well. I don't know if it's maybe this flavor doesn't dissolve as well or what, but this is way more than 16 ounces too, and it's supposed to be 1 scoop to 16 ounces. So we'll get to this eventually. All right. Yeah, Mark Salzman says Nuun has, where'd it go? Oh man, it just jumped. Mark Salzman says Nuun has good flavors. It does, but you know what? I want more flavors of this stuff because I've just been enjoying it so much. I don't know what it is, but these BCAAs, I just like the drink. So it's got when it says it's got 5 grams of this BCAA blend, 3 to 1 to 1, 3 grams L-leucine, 1 gram L-isoleucine, and 1 gram of L-valine. And it's also got a gram of L-glutamine. So, but it says that it's the equivalent, the same weight as 30 grams of protein. So I just kind of like that idea, like right after a run. But there's only 2 flavors as far as I know, lemon and this blackberry lemon. I want like 4 or 5, you know? So this is a product that I feel like they should push on this hard because I like it a lot. I really like it. All right. DJ Modib says, what's going on, DJ? Says, so you ran in the alphas today? Jealous. I have such FOMO on those. I'm about to head out in a brand new pair of Endorphin Pros. Still 10% chance I'll exchange for the alphas. I mean, they're both good. They're both really good. I like the Alpha Fly more for a marathon distance than I like the Endorphin. At the half marathon distance, they're both great. But for the marathon, I think I'd rather have the Alpha Fly. It's just a little bit softer in the forefoot. And I don't know. I just think that I'm past the point where I want to have tough feet, you know? And I'm just like, I'm perfectly fine babying my feet at this point. All right, I'm going to start drinking this. There's still some chunks in the bottom of this, just not dissolving. I don't know why, but we'll get there. All right, cheers, everybody. Yeah, this is gross. Ugh, this is terrible. This flavor is miserable. I mean, caveat, I don't like blackberries, and I really don't like blackberry flavored stuff. This tastes like something that the dentist would give you to rinse with or something. This is gross. I love this drink, but this flavor is nasty. Ugh. Ugh. I don't like this at all. Oh my goodness. My goodness. Ugh. Oh, this is not your fave. No. I mean, usually I just chug it anyway, so the flavor is not terribly important. But this is like I feel like I'm drinking medicine when I take this. It's like drinking, if you watered down cough syrup, that's what it tastes like. Ugh. There's something wrong with this. It tastes like it kind of reminds me of Korean gum, like chewing gum. It's not like Korean chewing gum is not like spearmint or wintergreen or mint. It's like lavender. It tastes like you're chewing potpourri. And so there's a floral element in here that's not soapy, but it's kind of in that same family. Yeah. Yeah. DJ Modem says, honestly, I still haven't met a Nuun I'm really in love with. Maybe the plain citrus is best. I really suffered through the mango Nuun. Really? That's like one of my favorites. The mango is always so good, but yeah. Is it slightly expired? I don't know. I don't know if there's a best by date on this thing. Oh, here we go. Expires April 2022. So it's not expired, and the seal looked fine. So I don't know, but we'll see. I mean, I'm still going to drink it, but it just doesn't taste great. All right. Jody says, good day, everyone. Good news. Looks like my home city will be hosting the 2032 Olympics. Whoa. Are they meeting and talking about that kind of stuff now already? I mean, I suppose you do. It takes a long time to put all this stuff in like the infrastructure, but wow. Cool. That's really cool. Well, everyone, we're all going to Jody's house for the Olympics. All right. There was a question up here about Glass MW says, what's the flavor? Also, would it be better if it was the right powder to water ratio? The flavor is blackberry lemon. And I think the flavor would be worse if I made it the more correct powder or water ratio. I think I put about 20 ounces of water in here. And it's supposed to be 16 ounces. And so, I mean, it might have been pretty close to 16, in fact. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's just it's not really that great. Ben White says collagen face is worse than kombucha face. No, I mean, this wasn't collagen. This doesn't have any collagen in it. It just has the branched chain amino acids, just proteins. But yeah, it wasn't. It was a surprise. I was really expecting something that I would like more, but no. Oh, here's a question that I was looking for earlier. Ben White says, do you have to drink collagen? Can you get it in a capsule? I think you can. I think you can get it in a capsule. I'm not sure what that does to like the absorption of it. It's a good question. I don't know. I think that what I want to do, because I'm not a huge fan of the collagen drink that my wife got, I think I might try and look up a vegan kind of collagen analog, which is like the building blocks of collagen. So like whatever your body does to break down like animal-based collagen, like those products, like they can make a powder out of that. And so I think I might try something like that. Yeah. All right. Oh, Scott says, by the way, I'm watching one from a whirlpool, 101 degrees. I mean, that's the best spot to be at right now. I think Scott's got the best viewing position for today. That looks nice. That looks really nice. Or sounds really nice. I can't see it, but I really want to be in a whirlpool. Oh, yeah. I mean, I remember like in the fall, my wife and I were talking about, let's rent a house. Let's go down to Florida. I don't know how we'll get there safely, but let's rent a house in Florida that has like one of those pool cage, like the cage around the pool in the backyard. And it's just like indoor, outdoor kind of living situation. And with a pool for the kids and then a hot tub. Like, and I could go for a run every day, avoid people, and then just jump straight into the hot tub. Like I wanted to do that. And then it never worked out, but that's what I wanted to do. Conflict says, Kofuzi, do you take a protein supplement that has, this is the question, another question I want to make sure I got to. Do you take a protein supplement that has a full profile of amino acids on top of this supplement? Most protein supplement I've seen do. So I'm just wondering if you stack it. I don't think I mean, I think that I probably should look a little bit more carefully in terms of like, am I sure that I'm getting all the essential amino acids? But I usually like I don't know, maybe I'm just lazy or my brain can't handle like worrying too much about diet. And so I like to I rely on the protein drinks as just a way to replenish or give my body what it's like really craving like right away, especially because in the morning I typically don't have time to, or I don't make time to eat because the mornings just get really busy. And so it's kind of like my backstop. I come back from the run, I walk the dog, and then when I come back, sometimes before the shower, sometimes after the shower, then I'll just like chug like some sort of protein drink just to make sure I'm getting at least something in there. And then, I like to rehydrate, and then if there's electrolytes in it, all the better. And this has, 500 milligrams of potassium, 250 of sodium, 154 of chloride. Not that many sugars, just 5 grams. So like, I feel like that's a pretty nice one for me. So I like the way that these numbers are stacking up. And I probably should be a little bit more like discerning rather than just be like, oh, an equivalent of 30 grams of protein. Great. But that's kind of where my mind's at. And then for the rest of the time, the only thing I really worry about is making sure I'm getting, a more of a rounded diet in terms of getting all those essential amino acids from plant-based proteins. So I just make sure I'm trying to get like, beans and rice, every day. I don't always get a rice in every day, but I usually get some sort of bean in, I think pretty much just about every day. So I feel like between that, I'm kind of like covering the bases and I'm doing a decent job. That's all I'm hoping for, a decent job. Yeah. All right. Witchcraft Lady says, greetings from Journey. Good to see you again, Witchcraft. We already have 20 degrees Celsius here. Running is a bliss. That sounds nice. Awesome. Sean Marshall says, do we know anything about magnesium and or magnesium deficiency? I don't know anything about that. I've not really looked into that. Mark Saltzman wants to know, do you stretch a lot more before or after you run? I do I kind of do stretching / mobility, like my single leg strength exercise I do before my run. It takes about 7 to 10 minutes. Doesn't take too long. And then I go for a run, and it'll be squats, all body weight squats, single leg lunge. I guess all lunges are single leg lunges, lateral lunges, reverse lunges, and then single leg deadlifts. So that's my routine. And then I'm out for the run. When I come back, I usually just kind of do like a deep squat. Like I just kind of sit in that position, not sit, but crouch in that position for a little bit. And that'll kind of tell me a lot of what else is going on in terms of anything else I need to stretch out. And then for the rest of the day, I might kind of like pay a little bit of attention to it there, sneak in a stretch, something like that here and there. Maybe sit kind of like almost like in the, what is it? It's a yoga position, pigeon position. Sometimes I'll just sit in that position if I'm sitting on the floor with the kids. So that kind of thing. So I'll do that throughout the day kind of. And then in the evening, I usually get on my fake balance ball thing. It's a thing that inflates and, it's a little bit unstable for balancing. And I might do some kind of like single leg exercises on that just to make sure like everything's still getting a little bit of a challenge in that imbalance kind of way, but also like, is there anything else that feels weird, just to kind of check. So my stretching is more like checking to make sure everything still feels right and make sure nothing needs attention. DJ Madiv says, as far as his drinks, says, I started putting away my long run day breakfast smoothies. For post run is I switched, I think General Protein. I've switched to just almonds and chocolate milk. Would like to incorporate more anti-inflammatories, e.g. turmeric. I'm a big fan of the turmeric after a long workout, but, and I'm thinking about putting together a video on kind of like the different ways that I use drinks, either before, during, or after, and like for like the turmeric drinks, I'm looking for different things than I'm looking for in, say, like this kind of drink, which I'm looking to like rebuild from like the workout or in the run, and just kind of like stock back up. When I'm looking for a drink that has turmeric in it, or if I'm eating their granola and putting a lot of like chia powder, like I guess is it called ground chia meal, basically chia powder or chia seeds and something. That's when I'm like, I've had a tough workout or a very long run, and I want to make sure that I can still run tomorrow and recover. And so that's like a different focus for me than kind of like the protein drink. So I've been thinking about how to put that together. I think I need to experiment a little bit more with collagen before I can do that though. But that's kind of like where I'm thinking on all that stuff. But interesting to see another person that's like loving the chocolate milk after runs. Sean says, Google Translate says Kofuzi is Swahili. It means coffin. Can you talk about the orange in the screen name? Yeah, it's not Swahili. It is a play on Confucius. So Confucius's last name was Kong. My last name is Ko. So it's kind of like Americanizing Kong Futsa or Ko Futsa. And the Futsa part, I believe, I'm not Chinese, but I believe that means master teacher. So it's a pretty, a humble nickname that I've gave myself. I gave it to myself back in college before I was running on YouTube. All right. Mr. Random says, it seems Under Armour putting some marking bucks behind the new Flow shoe. I'm seeing it pop up in a number of places. I haven't seen it yet. I'm looking forward to it. I'm waiting for Morgan McDonald to do like a video on it. But, he's been racing and stuff lately, so I think his attention is a little bit diverted from shoe reviews, to my dismay. But, he's got to take care of what he needs to take care of. But, yeah, I'm kind of like, if Morgan McDonald says it's good, I can't imagine he wouldn't, but I'm waiting to see what he says about it. And maybe he has made a video about it and I just haven't gotten to it yet, but that's kind of like, I'm waiting on that one. So, let's see what else we got here. Eric says, question, running a marathon on April 25th. Think about registering for a half on 5/29. Thoughts on turnaround time for that? I think that's plenty of time. A month? Yeah, I think that's okay. In terms of like going in, but basically your level of fitness for the marathon, being able to recover and come back at least at kind of like that level of, or like kind of like cruising on that level of fitness for the half marathon on May 29th. I mean, if it's kind of like a B race for you, yeah, for sure, I think. But if you're trying to make it an A race, that might be a little bit tight, because even if you can recover, I mean, depending on how intense your April marathon is going to be, you know, I would say at a minimum, you know, you'd want to put like 2 weeks in between a marathon and basically anything else. And then, you know, that means you really could get maybe 2 good weeks of work, and then you're tapering again for maybe a week, or maybe even less than that. I don't think you'll need to taper too much from like a 2 week buildup, but it doesn't give you a lot of time to build up again. You know what I mean? So like if you're looking to like use the marathon as a stepping stone to build up to the half, then I would make the marathon be part of your training for the half, which is a little bit backwards from how most people do it, but I could see that making sense. Depending on some of whatever your goals are. But if you're just looking to like, I want to have a really good time on April and I want to have a really good time in May, I totally think that's enough time for most people. Britt Nicole, 240. Man, this drink is not just not tasty. This is definitely gonna be something that like when I drink it, I'm just gonna have to slam it. Britt Nicole says, kind of a off-topic shoe question. I work in an OR. What will be good and cushioned running shoe to wear at work? I'm tired of buying and returning. Yeah, and I think someone mentioned the Bondi, and I know DJ Madib said that the Bondi is a good choice, and I would totally agree with that. Bondi also makes an all-leather version as well, in case, I don't know if you're in the OR. So I've heard people, this seems weird and counterintuitive to me, but I've heard some people talking about that if for people working in the OR, they need a shoe that's easily wipe downable. And so like knit uppers are not allowed, and you want something that's like leather. So they do make, I don't know if it's specifically for this reason, but they do make an all leather upper Bondi. I think the Boost, Ultra Boost would be another great one. I just think it's fantastic for being on your feet all day. That's one that I also really enjoy. Yeah, I mean, those are probably the first two that I would look at. A lot of people I've seen, I mean, in my neighborhood, like when I go outside in the morning and I'm looking at the bus stop, most of the people that are out at the bus stop right now, and even before then, are wearing scrubs. So I spend a lot of time looking at like what people are wearing. So I generally see a lot of like React shoes. What was really popular was the Element React 87. It's not a running shoe, but that was a super comfortable shoe. I really enjoyed that. I had a pair of those, and those were great just to be in all day. The React was a little bit softer, I think, than the Epic React, which made it much more suitable for being on your feet, not necessarily running. I think there's an Element like 54 version of that that's a little bit cheaper. So that's also another really good option, I think. So those are some that I would look at. Trying to think, what other would I really like? I think if you were looking at like a running shoe, like the Fuel Cell Rebel, like version 1, even though it's a knit upper, so it might not work for you in the OR, that might be a pretty good one as well, just because that Fuel Cell was really like squishy. Nice. Also the Asics Nova Blast, that actually might be the best option of all of them. So that's someone that I would look at, Britt. All right. Let's see, I gotta scroll down. I'm behind, guys. Witchcraft Lady says, how do I know if I'm able to run a half marathon? Nothing fast, just finishing. I'd say if on a weekend long run, like if you can run like 8 miles to 10 miles, I think if you're just looking to like, I don't know if I can run that distance. I think if you get to 8 to 10 miles in a long run, I think you're fine. Because then you can usually find a way to like will yourself through. I mean, you know, normally when I give that advice, I'm thinking like there's a race type atmosphere and there's people cheering you on. There's probably not that these days for most people. But that's kind of like where I'd put it. So if someone doesn't know if they'll survive the distance, if you can get to 8 to 10, then I think you're in pretty good shape. I mean, 10 is better than 8. But for people's first half marathon, they're not usually doing like a 15-mile run or even a 13-mile run to test. They're usually getting to 10, maybe 12. So I think that's how I would know. Or if you're just running regularly, and you've been consistent for a couple months, even if your distances aren't that long, you can probably, if you've been consistent running 4 times a week for, a couple months, then I think with some prep, you can certainly get to a half marathon distance. It'll take some time for you to like work on extending some of those distances if they're not very long, but that's another way to think about it too. Kurt Steege says, just got off a work meeting. On the bright side, it was one where they sent us a bunch of beard tests. So it's a real happy hour. That sounds nice. That sounds like a kind of work meeting I can get behind. So that sounds nice. Mark Saltzman wants to know, for a beginner runner, what is a good respectable time for 1 mile? Thank you. I don't know. I think it depends. Like if you're like on your age, and like your running history. I mean, I guess you're saying a beginner runner, but I don't know. I think it's pretty variable. I think like a beginner runner time, I really wouldn't worry about that too much, because a lot of that's going to come down to a lot of like your like just genetic build in terms of like, are you more of an aerobic person or an anaerobic person? So that could really influence that quite a bit. But I don't really know what a respectable time is. I think if you can run a mile and work hard, then you should be proud of that time. Carlos Diaz says, my friend's Endorphin Pros got stole from his front porch. Really? That stinks. But why were they on the front porch? Was he airing them out? Were they wet? Were they stinky? Is that what happened? That's a shame that you couldn't leave them out there. Does your friend ever have problems with packages getting stolen too? That's a bummer. Because that's a good shoe. And then someone else was asking a question about like the alpha flies with the prices of them. Yeah, someone was asking, I forget, was it Stevie? I don't remember. Someone was asking like, oh, here we go. Stevie says, considering the alpha flies cost $275, anyone hear stories about runners being robbed of their shoes like Jordans? I haven't heard that, but I don't think people are wearing their alpha flies casually. Like people are wearing Jordans around, so I think that might be part of it, but I also feel like the alpha flies probably appeal to a different, I don't know. Maybe it's just like, there's no, like, unless you're also a runner, like, I don't know how much the alpha fly appeals to you aesthetically. It's a weird looking shoe, Yeah, Scott wants to know what was my CB handle. I've never used a CB before. I have a feeling that I would have really enjoyed it, but I don't think I'm quite the right like age for that. I think maybe. I think there's like a period of time where that was much more popular than it was when I was growing up. All right. Let's get some more, and then I gotta get going for today, unfortunately. Yeah, someone was saying, was it? I keep seeing, as I'm scrolling through, I keep seeing like parts of other conversations. It's been kind of throwing me off today. I don't know. I'm all a little off today. Yeah, Leona says she loves the Bondi as far as a shoe to be comfortable in. So does Rain Runer, who I don't think is here. Yeah. And then, yeah. Oh, here it is. Sean says, my friends in medical go Hoka. Yeah. I've seen a lot of that. I've seen some on, but I usually tend to see a lot of Nikes that I don't like instantly recognize. Sometimes it is the Element series, but sometimes I feel like they're either the ones that are kind of like just a generic like black Nike upper with a white midsole that looks nice. So I don't recognize it like right away. And then I see a lot of what else do I see? What was I going to say? I don't know. That's a big one. And I see a lot of Air Maxes, like a lot of the different versions of Air Maxes. but I don't think that Air Max is. I mean, I've only worn the Air Max 720, and I didn't think that was a very comfortable shoe. The upper was just it was too snug. I always wanted to get my feet out of it. But yeah. But yeah, Hoka, Nike, and what was the other one? Yeah, I'm losing my train of thought on this one. Sorry, guys. Kurt says for his work meeting, they had to get the 3 16-ounce beers with blocks of cheese paired. You had to. Well, I'm glad you're working hard. That's a lot of beer. Mark Salzman says collagen gives him allergy attacks. I tried it, but it really messed me up. I suppose, yeah. I mean, are you allergic to like beef? Some people are allergic to beef, which seems like a very weirdly specific thing to be allergic to. But I know that some people are. Or maybe just that much collagen screws with you. I don't know. That's interesting, but that stinks. All right. Yeah, Ben Browning says, though, back to the shoes that would be comfortable in OR, the Novablast ones are in clearance. Yeah, I would look at that one. I really enjoy that one. Scott says his CB handle was Spitfire. That's a nice one. I like that. That's cool. Oh, Leona said, really enjoyed Rich Roll's True Endurance podcast with Adam Skolnick. Thanks for the recommendation. Good comments regarding math training while discussing Goggins 4x4x40 challenge. Yeah, I really enjoyed that one too, because Rich Roll doesn't talk about his like training philosophy all that much. Like, and I mean, his book, his memoir at least, really wasn't about that either, even though it did talk a lot about his like Ultraman endeavors and a lot of his training, a lot of his racing, but it didn't talk a lot about like his training. So it was good to get like some insight on what he thinks about some of those things. Cause like, I know it's still considered controversial, but I also felt like, he's at least a pretty usually well-reasoned guy. And so like, doesn't make me feel as like far, out there. If I'm like, well, Rich Roll does it too. So it makes me feel a little bit better about it. But let me ask you this thing. If you've listened to the other, like, where they call them the roll-ons, where he has that guy Adam on, and they kind of like banter back and forth like a co-host kind of thing. And they do kind of like a talk show, kind of like this, or not a talk show, like a radio show, like a daily radio show, but they do it like once every week or two. But that episode, I felt like Rich was like annoyed at Adam, that Adam had either not, like, I felt like he was annoyed that Adam hadn't asked him earlier about training advice for this Goggins challenge. And that in the absence of having not asked him earlier, that he hadn't like gone out and done his own research on training for this challenge himself either. And then I felt like, they talked about a lot of sponsor products on that episode. And there was like 3 or 4 in a row that Adam was just like, no, I haven't looked at that yet, or haven't tried it out yet. I felt like Rich was starting to get really annoyed at Adam. I don't know. Did anyone else listen to that? What do you guys think? Yeah, Leona said, yeah, I can see how you thought that. Adam should have used Rich as his coach instead of the one he had. Yeah, I feel like if you're meeting Rich Roll like on a regular basis, I mean, here's where I think it could go, is I could easily see like Adam being like, well, he's kind of like my boss, and I don't want to like bug him to like train me, this like random dude. Not that he's a random dude, but I could see him kind of thinking that like he didn't want to like bother Rich Roll for that. But I feel like I mean, he ran the idea by him 3 weeks out from the event. I mean, he should have just ran the idea by him like 2 months out from the event. I don't know, but yeah, I can understand some of his kind of like trepidation for it. Maybe he wanted to wait until he had been doing some more running first, but it seemed like a very like part of it was a little bit uncomfortable, the interaction on it. I don't know. Maybe I was reading or listening too much into it and putting too much in between the lines. Yeah. Chang Reactions here says, wake up late today and making my morning coffee while watching live. Awesome. Well, good morning to you. Hope you're having a good day. All right. Running Man Sam says, been loving the music in the intros lately. Gets me buzzing, like my intro music. Nice. Well, thank you so much, Running Man Sam. I've been switching up the intros a little bit. It's not normally how I like to do them. It's been taking me a lot longer to do them this way. But I've been doing a little bit of a narrative intro than just, shut up and let the B-roll speak for itself kind of intro. And it's just something new and different, but there's still music to it, but like it's a little bit different slightly different than what I've been doing. And so it's kind of been taking longer, but I think I kind of like it. It lets me like put a little bit more of a finer point on like the purpose of the video when I started out, rather than just like, here's the shoe I'm looking at today, which I don't mind that either, but maybe it helps people understand what they're looking at. I don't know. All right, Sean Marshall's got to go get some easy miles in. He says, take it easy, y'all. All right. And then, yeah. Ben Browning says, school kids are occasionally robbed of Yeezys or whatever, which are fakes anyway. Occasional story like that is something you'll hear. Are people that excited about Yeezys still? I mean, they've been around for a long time, and there's like a new one that comes out every 2 months. I mean, sometimes I look at them and I'm like, oh, that one looks really nice. I might actually get that. But then I'm like, where am I going to go? Where am I going to go that I'm not either going to wear my boots right now in wintertime in Chicago or a running shoe? Like, there's nowhere I'm going. There's no need for me to have a casual shoe. So I'm like, I just don't need that. There's no room for it. And I'm like, and I probably wouldn't get a Yeezy just because it's, I don't know. But I think they must still be pretty popular. They're making tons of them, right? So I don't know. I haven't heard too many stories about people like, getting their Yeezys taken away, but I don't know. Maybe I'm not really like listening for that kind of story either. So maybe that's part of what it is. Yeah, Martha says, I've barely worn anything but running shoes outside since the pandemic started. Pretty much for me too. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. All right. Carlos Diaz has a super random question. He says, I have a pair of Boston 9, but they took them off Adidas and it's been impossible to find a 10.5. Would the SL20 be similar enough, version 1 or version 2? Yeah. For the Boston 9, you can't get another Boston 9 10.5. It's somewhat similar, but I think that the main difference for me is, at least for the Boston 9, it'll be interesting to see what the Boston 10 does. For the Boston 9, I feel like it lasts for a longer distance a lot better. And especially versus the version 1, I think it's a little bit easier to live with on a wider variety of paces. So it's definitely the better shoe than the SL20 version 1 or version 2. But if you're looking for something that's kind of similar, I think there's 2 ways to look at it. You can go with the SL20 version 2, or you can go with the Solar Boost. Now, I think Andy, FOD Runner, just put out a review of the Solar Boost 3, which I didn't know that there was going to be another one. And it's another weird shoe from Adidas in the sense that the shoe's not so weird, but like there was a Solar Boost 19. There was a Solar Boost. I forget what I think they just call it Solar Boost. And then there was a Solar Boost 19. There wasn't a Solar Boost 20, and now there's another Solar Boost called the Solar Boost 3. I think that's what's going on with that. So I think the Solar Boost might be a little bit closer than the SL20, but like I would say like the Boston sits in the middle. A lighter, faster shoe might be, and shorter distance shoe would be the SL20, and a heavier kind of like slightly slower shoe would be the Solar Boost. So that's kind of how I think of it. And we'll do this one for the last one for today. Curtis teaches question. Based on your video for Tay on the Invincible, it goes to show that different shoes work for different people. Ed Bud and FOD Runner, I think, got some serious blisters. Yeah, I don't have problems with the upper on the Invincible. It actually is really working for me. It's just, it says Flyknit in the name, and I want it to be knit. I want it the upper to be nicer, but it just kind of is underwhelming. But it doesn't give me any problems at all. And so like it's definitely goes to show you how it's very different for a lot of people. And so like you know, a lot of people like they ask one and only one question, like true to size, you know, and I'm like, what do you mean? Tell me other shoes that fit for you, and then I'll tell you if it fits similarly. You know, that's kind of like a little bit more helpful. But then it's like, you know, like then I have to do like a back and forth with people on comments, and that's a kind of a harder thing to do. But yeah, it does. A lot of people do get very different reactions from shoes. That's why I think it's great that even though, like, you know, for it kind of goes to the broader point of like, you know, people that are really excited about shoes and are like, I don't know if I should do a running blog or a running YouTube channel or like try to make a running Instagram account because there's already so many. There's always room for like another opinion, I think, you know? And so that's kind of where I feel like because shoes fit different people differently, there's room for more than a handful of opinions. There's a lot of room, I think. All right. Anyway, I'm going to get going for today. I'm going to, you know, stomach the rest of this. There's a lot left. So I'm going to chug this and I'm going to get going. Tomorrow's video is going to be a workout video and then another live stream, same time as today, 3 p.m. Central. Hopefully I'll see you then. In the meantime, be safe out there, everybody. Thanks.